what gets you emotional, and what are the flavors of emotion, and what can you learn from it?
I don't understand, with all the money we have, how anybody's homeless. Doesn't really make any sense. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, where we sat down with the one and only David Meltzer.
Oh, yeah?
As a behind the scenes of our coaching. Today, for episode number 517, we are going to talk about what makes you move, what moves you, and what it means. I can't read, so.
We hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas.
We do. Merry Christmas, and a lot of people are off right now, not working, so hopefully you're enjoying your downtime and gearing up for the new year.
So 2021 is coming up upon us quickly, and if you are off right now, okay, I'm holding space. Kevin's off the mic.
I'm going to look at the I want to give the Facebook group love, Next Level Nation love.
Perfect. I like that. So if you are off of work right now, I think what's really important, and what a lot of people are doing, especially listeners of this show, is they're reflecting on 2020 and they're gearing up for 2021. And I think that's really important. So review your calendars. Basically, a good frame, before we jump into this episode, is what are you glad you did? What brought you the most fulfillment? Okay, what brought you the least fulfillment? What was the most successful and why? And then what was the least successful and why? Every single year, the only way your life gets better is if you get better. But how do you get better if you don't reflect on, your past experiences? And so for me, I am dogmatic about keeping my calendar up to date so that when I do review 2020, I can see all of the things that if I could go back, what would I do differently? Would I have spent 2 hours at that event? Would I have spent more time at that event or less time? Would I have done this or that? And so it's really important to understand the compound effect of where you're spending your time. And I think that now is a great time of year to really go into that. But let me also provide context for this episode. So what moves you? Okay. At Top Notch Live, which was January of last year, I asked a simple question to everyone from the stage in the audience. And I basically said, I want to know what pisses you off, and I want to know what gets you really, really emotional. Now, emotions have intelligence within them. If you are really, really emotional and you start crying about something, there's something really deep inside of you that's causing that you can dig into. So if you've ever heard me read the Teddy story, or you saw that video of Kevin and I and the principal of Burncoat Elementary, as also with Sarah, and I forget the coordinator's name.
I think it was Jen.
Yeah, we're friends on Facebook now, so hopefully we can do more charity stuff in the future. But I teared up a bit on that video when we were talking about the kids and how they can't have clothes, and then later on, I think Aaron ended up cutting that out of the video, so I don't know if it was on the video, but later on that weekend, Emilia and I did a charity initiative, Books for Babes, and I couldn't even talk about how much I was grateful for, the support that I got with scholarships and financial aid and equal opportunity growing up, without crying. And Emilia was very sweet in that moment. If you ever watched that video, she just kind of hugged and kissed me, but I was just like bawling. And to me, that's what gets me emotional. And I've really tried to dial in why that is. But I think the other side of this coin, on one side you have what pisses you off and frustrates you. Because this is what I believe. I believe that there's an injustice in the world that probably caused you massive pain, whatever that injustice was. Maybe it was, we didn't learn about health and wellness in school. You ended up obese, okay? There's an injustice in the world that angers you. It makes you upset. Maybe it's the environment. Maybe it's racism. Maybe it's inequality. Maybe it's whatever it is. There's an injustice happening in the world that causes you massive pain or has caused you massive pain. And then on the other side of that coin is the solution. And for me, I get, frustrated when I see ignorance happening. Ignorance caused me a lot of pain. I didn't understand certain things or weren't taught certain things in school, and it caused me massive pain because I made bad choices. So ignorance was the problem that pisses me off when I see people that are ignorant, and then awareness is the solution. And so when kids, getting them books to raise their awareness, it makes me cry. but yet when I see someone's ignorance hurting others, it makes me frustrated and pissed off. And I'm not going to take the frustration and manifest it in a negative way, but I try to use that as fuel. And so one thing that I would ask you, Kev, is what gets you emotional? And what are the flavors of emotion, and what can you learn from them?
Interesting. So I came in the studio, well, when we said we should do an episode on this, I was watching UFC last night. It was a rerun of Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway, their second fight. Real good. If you're into MMA, it's a good one. After Dustin Poirier wins, when a fighter wins, they get to like talk. Like Joe Rogan in this instance went in the octagon, he was talking to him, and he's basically saying like, look, I'm the champion of the world right now. My whole life I was told that I wasn't going to be shit, basically is what he said. Like, nobody believed in me. I'm from Louisiana, this small town, like, not meant to be anything. And he basically said, like, you can do anything in the world that you believe in if you do it long enough. And then his wife, his beautiful wife, Jolie, what great name, was in the octagon, and he said, like, this is her belt as much as it is mine. And I'm just sitting on the couch like, oh my God, just bawling my eyes out. But for me, it's like, it's the ride or die. Like, Taron's my ride or die. I say that all the time. Like, you're my ride or die. I know no matter what, you're going to be here. There's something about that's always gotten me. I think because loyalty is invaluable. Like, the belief you have to have in somebody to say, like, go do your thing. I know you'll get there eventually. I just think that's rare. And I think that's why I love the people that I have in my life. Like, Matt's the same way. Like, yeah, I know you'll make it eventually. Like, we've been doing this for long enough. Mm-hmm. So that, for me, it's the underdog who does what nobody thinks they can do and then remembers what it was like to be the underdog is huge. What pisses me off? People that take advantage of people. That really gets me going. Like, a lot.
Bullies.
Yeah, bullies. I don't like that. That's probably one of the biggest things. And honestly, it bothers me that there's kids that can't eat. That definitely is like, I don't understand with all the money we have how anybody's homeless. Doesn't really make any sense. Like, we do hundreds of billions of dollars a year for things that don't matter. So it's like we couldn't figure out a way to do that. Because there's other countries don't have any homeless people. Like, I don't remember what it was, Norway or something. Like, literally just, I don't know if it was Norway, but literally just got to the point where there's nobody homeless. Like, they have systems in place so people have places to go. Like, I feel like that's probably the closest. That and people taking advantage of other people.
Can you give me an example?
People taking advantage of other people?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Men who, like, pedophiles. That's like, that gets me going. Men who sexually assault women or assault women in any way, shape, or form. Like, that's always been like,
right.
I joke about this, that when I come back, I want to come back as like Batman who beats on those kind of people. I don't really want to, but I just feel like there's a lot of people out there who get taken advantage of in whatever way it is, whether it's financially with people like, Ponzi schemes. But like, for me, it's more of like the person to person, like you're in a relationship with somebody and they do something that crosses the line that much. And you're either too afraid to leave because they might hurt you, or like human to human negativity, like, really bothers me. Because I just, at the end of the day, like, we're on the same team. Like, we're on the same team. All of us, we're all on the same team. And then like racism, I think it's the human to human thing for me. Like, somebody treating somebody else negatively has always bothered me to my core.
What do you think the listeners, what are some questions the listeners should ask themselves to learn about? I guess what I've realized about myself is that when I think pain is guaranteed. I often say this on other shows, like, emotional pain is guaranteed for all of us. It's what you do with it isn't, and what you do with emotional pain is a choice. You've gone through a lot of adversity, so have I. But it's what we did with that pain that made all the difference. And so if there's something out there that causes you pain, emotional pain, and I would argue that frustration, anger, resentment, contempt, all of that, all the negative emotions that cause pain are actually, there's intelligence within them. Like, there's a common thread. There's a reason why you are wired the way you are. And if you can dissect that and harness it I often say that when I'm in emotional pain, it very quickly transforms to determination for a brighter future for myself and others. I don't know if that's common or whatnot, but I do know that it's possible for anyone. So what would you say to the listeners that...
I would say get clear on, so what moves you and what it means. So what moves you first? Like figure out what movies get you going, what songs get you going, what books, whatever, what examples, whatever it is. Like what moves you? Like what actually makes you cry? What actually gets you super fired up?
Right.
Like what are those two things? And then what do you think it means? Like dig deeper. The Pursuit of Happiness, one of my favorite movies. Why? Underdog,
right,
who literally the worst, got to the lowest of low, made it, and now is uber successful. Like that, the underdog thing is just that's my jam, because I think I've always felt like one.
Like an underdog?
Yeah, like an underdog.
Yeah.
Why does that get me fired up? Because I can resonate with it.
Right.
Right? And I can see that, not for me, because it's never been that bad, but like I want to tell that story of like, look, if I can do it, you can do it, just because my circumstances are different, right? And then what can you do with it? Like, what can you do? Understanding what moves you is super important because it can help you get closer to your goals. It can also help you figure out what's blocking you in your goals. Like, what moves you can also be negative. It could be a trauma from the past. It could be a limiting belief. That could move you just in a negative way.
Right.
Of like, oh, I can't do that because.
And if you don't understand the trauma and how it's affecting you and the meaning you've associated to it, you can't really overcome it.
I think what you need to do is like literally, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, sit down right now. And we all know, we all have a list of like, if you're in your feels, what do you go to? What songs, what books, what movies, what text messages do you look back on? What pictures do you look back on? Like when you're in your feels, where do you go? I want you to write all that down. And then I want you to dig. And I want you to figure out like, what's the common theme? What do you feel? Do you feel lost? Do you feel nostalgia? Do you feel whatever? And then keep digging in that, because I do think your passion and your purpose is connected to that in some way, and I bet you're going to see a lot of yourself. This is my guess, you're either going to see a lot of yourself or a lot of who you want to become or a lot of who you were. One of those three is my guess.
Or all three.
Or all three.
I know this is 5 Minute Clinic, so we'll go.
We're over for sure.
We're over. But the last thing I want to say here is when you do dig into this, expect it to get a little bit messy in terms of your emotions. And whatever it is, I guess on the other side of fear is who you've always wanted to become, and there's something to learn in it. But if you haven't heard the quote, energy in motion is emotion, I want you to think about this for a second. Imagine there's a person. I'll use Emilia as an example. Emilia. My beautiful girlfriend, for those new listeners who don't know, she is super, super emotional about the environment. So when she sees people not recycling or, she went and saw the coral reef and it was like a graveyard. Her whole life when she was a kid, she wanted to scuba dive around the Great Barrier Reef. And when she went, it was like the most depressing, painful experience, one of the most painful experiences of her life. And so she's super, super passionate about the environment. I'm super, super passionate about helping kids raise their awareness, because I believe that no matter where you start, if you are educated, you'll have choices. And she's passionate about that too. She's more passionate about the environment than I am. And I think on some level, raising the awareness of kids, while we're pretty equal in that, this charity initiative we did recently got us both crying several times. So we spent this past weekend bringing 800 books to school teachers who teach underprivileged kids. And we wrote handwritten notes written by us to read to the kids. And the thing that we wrote was basically like, if you set your mind to learning and to growth, you'll have choices, and your future will be brighter than your current circumstances, and you have to believe in that. And we wrote this whole thing together that was actually really, really inspiring, much better than what I just said. But Johanna is one of the teachers, and she basically said, I love how it was handwritten. We literally drove all over, Worcester Auburn, and then North Reading, I believe, or something like that. But we drove all over this past weekend, delivering the boxes of these books to these teachers' doorsteps, and cried several times. Just think about if we're that moved. Motivation, if you're out there right now listening, you probably struggle with motivation. We all do. But I believe the amount you struggle with motivation is predicated on how in alignment you are with your highest self. So if you struggle with motivation, it's probably because you're doing something that doesn't move you. This podcast, it's not that hard to be motivated when we're constantly seeing the impact we're able to have. What's yours? And really find that and then design your life around it, because you're going to be 10 times more successful with something that moves you than something that's mundane and boring to you.
I would concur. I think you said it very well.
Thank you,
I want to give a shout out to the new members. I can't talk. New members of Next Level Nation. Shout out to Dale, Tolu, Amy, Matt, Jennifer, Jason, Frank, and Greg.
Fire. Bunch of new members.
Appreciate y'all.
Normally, I would read a review right now, but
We'll do it on
I
Wednesday.
jeffed it, so we'll do that Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of here.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to get out of here. If you want to be part of a fast-growing community of people who want to get to the next level, Next Level Nation is for you. Literally, all you have to do is go click the link in the show notes, and it'll take you there. Guys, at the end of the day, we all want more community. We all want to be around people who are like us and where we can be ourselves, right? That's what everybody, from this holiday, that's what I'm learning. You know, people are reaching out, talking about their families and how they're struggling, and it's like, that's what this group is. This group, you can be yourself. And if, like, I would rather you be yourself in this group so you can learn to be yourself around the people in your life. Nobody's going to make fun of you. Nobody's going to say anything negative. If they do, they get booted to the moon or Mars or wherever it is that when you go from the Earth, you go to.
Perfect.
Probably Mars. So, yeah, join us.
It's a home away from home. That's our goal. You know, Amy has been doing a phenomenal job. If you want to meet the Next Level University team, also, Amy's now doing listener lives in that private Facebook group. And again, those lives are not posted anywhere else. So if you feel alone, even when you're around other people, it's because you're not around like-minded, growth-oriented people. And this is the place to do that virtually from anywhere in the world. If you feel alone, that's the place for you. Also, every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a Next Level Mastermind. Tonight, we are doing a mastermind with Natalie Hodson, who I was on the phone with last week, teaching her and her team a bunch of different systems that we do at the NLU team. But she's going to talk today about connection, vulnerability, and authenticity. And she went from really, really struggling financially and going through a tough divorce and, you know, a single mother with 2 kids to literally selling millions of dollars worth of an ebook that completely changed her life. She's an absolute sweet heart who has learned how to be successful at the highest levels. And she's here to tell you that you are not only capable of that, but that it's something that you are destined for if you are able to lean into who you really are, which is, again, what this episode was about. So join us tonight, and remember, every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every week.
Forever.
Week 37?
38.
I will get it right one of these times. Ladies and gentlemen, what is the mastermind that's dropping tomorrow?
Oh, my.
Top, not the school.
No.
Focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So creating or designing next level focus for world-class results.
Ooh, this was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It
was really good.
We got a lot of good love out of this one. That's especially now after the holiday season, it's time to focus up.
Oh, yeah.
And we're all going to be setting our goals for 2021, so let's start that focus strong. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this. We will talk to you tomorrow on Tuesday, and as always, we don't have fans, we have family.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.